Welcome back to Cartoonime Studios. First, I am very sorry for being so late on uploading videos. I was otherwise busy with working on the new content for my future videos and hold up doing schoolwork. Now then, continuing with the Omnitrix alien power analysis, the next transformations are the future aliens used by Ben 10,000 in the episode of the same name numbered 1 Season 3. These three, Spitter, Buzzshock, and Arctiguana, were among the many possible alien forms Ben could transform into in the near future, and while they're not as impressive as the other Omnitrix aliens, they're still interesting in their own right. Spitter is a spheroid from Scalpast, a rainy planet whose atmosphere is highly poisonous. Spitter is a bulbous green alien resembling a pufferfish with legs that is colored green on its outer side and pale green on its inner side. He has yellowish-green eyes, 3 spikes sticking out the top and bottom of his head, dull-colored teeth. His gums were the same hue of green as the outer side of his skin, arms with 4-fingered hands, short and stubby legs, and a long tail. His mouth covers mostly the front of him, which is filled with pointed teeth, and his eyes are connected to the corners of his lips. He wears a pair of black pants that partly cover his stomach. He wears the Omnitrix symbol on his stomach. In Omniverse, Spitter looks exactly the same except his eyes are green, his teeth are white, and his gums are dark green. His pants have green accents and the Omnitrix is relocated to his forehead. Spitter comes from the planet Scalpast, a planet that constantly raining with a toxic atmosphere. Spitter is unjustly the most underutilized alien of the Omnitrix by far, as he was never seen used by Ben Prime and never seen in general past the original series, and currently there seems to be no plans of the creators using him in the future. And whether the fact that Ben has access to Spitter is questionable at best. As his name states, Spitter can spit out a large concentrated blast of watery yellow slime by first inflating his upper body into a ball-like shape. This slime can reach up to 600 km per hour or 373.8 miles per hour, a force of which could be over 2 tons of pressure, more than powerful enough to blast away opponents whom are very large and heavy without difficulty, such as future Dr. Onimo, Vilgax 10,000, Mode Snykrep, and Kevin 11,000. The slime Spitter produces is very slippery, causing opponents to slip and fall, and according to the wiki, he can make it acidic. Theoretically, if it's similar to acid breaths, it could be able to melt and dissolve virtually anything except diamond. And according to the amount he produces, it could melt large objects from cars to walls. Spitter's slime is also highly conductive, as electricity-powered aliens like Buzzshock can electrify the puddles to attack enemies. Spitter possesses enhanced strength, allowing him to easily hold off and push away future Dr. Onimo, who at the time had a white gorilla body. Ordinary gorillas are estimated to be 10 times stronger than their own body weight. Fully grown silverbacks, for instance, can lift 10 kilograms on a bench press, and Onimo's augmented gorilla body is likely much more stronger. Spitter's Slime Blast gets a 5 out of 7 in raw power, as it can be useful for knocking away powerful opponents momentarily, and it gets a 3 out of 7 in versatility. Spitter's strength also allows him to hold his own against powerful opponents, at least for a while, giving him a 4 out of 7 in strength. It's unknown how durable Spitter is, but theoretically his ability to inflate his body could make him somewhat resilient to physical blows. So he could be a 4 out of 7 in durability. Due to his short stubby legs, it's likely Spitter walks and runs much slower than a human, but he might be able to hover or slide across the ground using his slime blast, similar to how Arctiguana uses his ice breath to skate. It's mostly he can be comparable to lower-tier aliens like Wild Mutt, who are capable of relativistic combat and reaction speed. But he still gets a 3 out of 7 in speed. Because he doesn't have nostrils, Spitter is immune to the effects of strong smells and poisonous gases, and is also capable of surviving in outer space. In terms of potential, I'm afraid there's too little information on Spitter to make an accurate analysis. But I do have some speculations. Spitter could make his slime into a strong adhesive similar to Stinkfly's slime that he used to entrap opponents. Spitter could secrete his slime through his skin, making him too slippery for foes to grab him or stick to objects to scale walls. Spitter could use his slime to put large wildfires and make it flammable, similar to Stinkfly's slime. It is unknown if Spitter can breathe underwater, but it's most likely a possibility as the other fish-themed aliens can do so. So Spitter gets a 3 out of 7 in potential. Despite his somewhat enhanced strength, Spitter does not possess good hand-to-hand combat capabilities, so his best strategy is to blast away opponents with his slime spit. Spitter could easily slip on his own slime if he's not concentrating, and his highly conductive slime can be just as dangerous to him as to his opponents. Spitter has made 4 appearances and won 4 battles. So Spitter has a win percentage of a 7 out of 7. Final thoughts. There's not much to say. Spitter is underrated due to his lack of appearances, and I really want to see more of this alien in future Ben 10 series. There's a lot of unseen potential with this alien, and I hope I've given him the respect he needs. So Spitter's total score adds up to 29 out of 49, a 7C small town level plus alien with a ranking of D class. Buzzshock is a Nosodinian, typically called megawatts or megawatts, and he comes from the Nosodine quasar, a quasar that emits vast amounts of energy whom the Nosodinians seem to be its only residents. Buzzshock is the first alien of the Omnitrix with lightning powers next to Frankenstrike, unless you count Upgrade's ability to generate electricity. Before he made his appearance in the episode Ben 10,000 Season 3 Episode 1, his species appeared in the episode Tourist Trap Season 1 Episode 5. In the original series, Buzzshock had the appearance similar to an Earth dry cell battery, albeit rounded out. He is black with green eyes, a large white lightning bolt-like stripe spanning from his neck to his waist on his front and back sides, and positive and negative symbols on his back. He had a hole on his head that could release electricity, has 2 bolts on each arm, and the Omnitrix symbol is located on his chest. In Omniverse, Buzzshock's lightning bolt stripe is recolored green, and the top of his head features a proper battery cap, colored green. His head is now more prominent, as his chin actually sticks out rather than being a part of a long, one-piece body, and his eyes are now almond-shaped instead of being circular. He wears the Omnitrix symbol on the top of his head cap. Nosodinians exist to have fun, which in their case is to cause trouble wherever they go. While they can cause a lot of damage, Nosodinians do not seem evil, and in fact are not openly hostile towards humans, merely lacking any self-control or sense of the danger they may cause others, going as far as to flood an entire city because it's funny. In other words, they seem to be psychotic. Nosodinians will only attack or be aggressive if they're provoked. The Nosodinian language consists of a series of high-pitched squeaking and chirping noises. Still, they have proven to have at least some basic knowledge of English, as they wrote the grammatically incorrect sentence, "You am lame," on the rust bucket, and seem to understand Ben's instructions to them as Buzzshock despite him not talking in their language. Buzzshock is a literal living battery, able to absorb, store and release massive amounts of electricity within his body. The more he absorbs, the more powerful he becomes, and the amount stored corresponds with his vitality. He gets energetic and hyper when full of electricity and sleepy when deprived of it. Buzzshock can both project the electricity stored inside his body outward and absorb external electricity inward, primarily by using his hands. He also has electrokinesis, and is able to control any electricity around him, allowing him to draw in electricity from far away or link himself to other Nosodinians. He can absorb all the energy from a city block in a matter of seconds, and as a result of absorbing, his electric attacks become more powerful. Not only is Buzzshock immune to electricity, he can convert parts of his body or his entire body into pure electricity, and travel across certain things, such as phone lines and pipes. Buzzshock can pass through any electrical source and absorb and redirect it just as easily with no known limitation. He can inhabit electrical devices and control the electricity inside, thus controlling the device. He can also charge devices to full power. Like other megawatts, Buzzshock has the ability to inhabit electrical devices, controlling them from the inside, and in some cases powering them. However, he also can cause any electrical technology to malfunction and fry when he passes through them. He can also animate and possess electrical machines as well. As seen from a megawatt, Buzzshock is capable of duplicating himself many times over if he absorbs enough energy or if he is forcibly bisected in half, in which his 2 parts will grow into 2 whole Nosodinians. Buzzshock can use his powers to electrify liquids such as Spitter's slime, and with his electrokinesis can seamlessly fly, leaving an electric trail behind. Buzzshock can emit a high-pitched sonic scream capable of shattering glass. This is at its most powerful with the help of clones, like when a group of megawatts shattered the glass container filled with giant toothpicks. Because his species were born in a quasar, it is possible Buzzshock could be able to survive the vacuum of space. Buzzshock gets 7 out of 7 in raw power and a 7 out of 7 in versatility. The original series has proven that a Nosodinian, especially a large group of them, are highly dangerous to be around. Despite his small size, Buzzshock is surprisingly strong, being able to effortlessly lift an adult human, well, at least by their underwear, several feet above the ground. So he gets a 3 out of 7 in strength. It's unknown how durable Buzzshock is, but given he was cut in half by a sewer lid, it's likely very low, so a 1 out of 7. Buzzshock gets a 7 out of 7 in speed, as he can likely travel at least the speed of lightning, which is 270,000 miles per hour or 30% the speed of light. And Buzzshock has enhanced reflexes as well, as a megawatt could effortlessly dodged Upgrade's optic beam, and Buzzshock himself quickly reacted and jumped over Phil's hand when he attacked him. Buzzshock can also naturally fly and levitate. Buzzshock is highly vulnerable to fire, as it can take away his electrical powers, making him weak against heat blast and his species. He also can't pass through non-conductive materials like glass or rubber, which is why the megawatts were easily trapped in a glass bulb and rubber-sheeted blankets. Theoretically, I imagine that Nosodinians could be vulnerable to aerokinesis, as the air is a natural insulator of lightning, making him vulnerable against Terraspin and his species. Buzzshock's energy can be absorbed by species with energy absorption like Crystal Sapiens and Conductoids, and once he runs out of energy he will be unable to stay awake and fall asleep. Due to his small size, Buzzshock can be at a disadvantage by bigger, stronger opponents like Phil's monster form. Buzzshock's potential is greatly high. While his abilities are basic electric powers with the exception of his sonic scream and duplication, they're still very powerful and versatile enough to be a serious threat to any opponent, especially his abilities to duplicate and control technology, a 6 out of 7. Buzzshock had appeared 8 times and won 6 of those times. Buzzshock has a win percentage of a 6 out of 7. Final thoughts. Buzzshock is by far the most dangerous and powerful of the future aliens, earning him a total score of 37 out of 49, as a high 7B or large city-level alien with a ranking of B class. Arctiguana is a polar manzardille from the ice caps of the planet Nelly. Arctiguana appeared last in the episode Ben 10,000, being part of the trio of aliens used by Ben Prime's alternate future self and later by Ben Prime. Arctiguana's home planet Nelly is a planet famous for being of the rare planets in the universe for existing in what is scientifically known as the Goldilocks zone, where the planet is precisely in the right distance from its star of which it orbits around, so the planet's not too hot and not too cold, much like our own planet Earth. However, unlike Earth, Nelly has no tilt to its rotational axis, therefore the planet has year-round stable climate conditions on both hemispheres, with the only exception being the polar ice caps at the northernmost and southernmost points. This unchanging climate on most of planet's surface is the perfect world and environment for cold-blooded creatures who rely on the temperature of their surroundings to regulate their own. As such, the dominant species on Nelly are reptilian aliens called manzardilles. In the original series, Arctiguana had small spikes around his face, 3 dorsal fins reaching down his back and white gills on the sides of his head. He had white pants and a black open front shirt with white cuffs, and he wore the Omnitrix symbol on his left hand. In Omniverse, 16-year-old Arctiguana still retains the clothing from his previous designs, albeit it goes all the way up to his head and his chest is completely covered up with a white underbelly shell. He has 4 pointed fins instead of 3, and the black stripes on his face do not go through his mouth anymore, as they now go around his mouth. The spikes on his face are now on his chin and his gills are no longer visible. The claws on his front feet are pointier and less dexterous, and he now has 2 claws on each of his back feet. He wears the Omnitrix symbol on his chest. Arctiguana is a cold-blooded alien, quite literally, as his blood is as cold as liquid nitrogen. Due to this, Arctiguana has the ability to breathe out ice from his mouth, by firing either a long-range freeze ray or an icy wind, which seems similar to Big Chill's own ice breath to isolate and encase his target in ice. Arctiguana's ice beam is extremely cold, enough to turn large bodies of water like lakes and big pools into ice, and he can flash freeze molten lava which is at least 2200 degree F or more back into solid rock. It could also make an arachnochimp's webbing very brittle to the point of shattering like glass, and can use his ice to make the ground slippery. Arctiguana can also use his freeze ray to create structures made of ice like walls and ramps, and as a means of quickly hovering himself across the ground via propulsion over short distance, and he can carry along anyone holding onto him. Arctiguana gets a 7 out of 7 in raw power as his ice breath can freeze virtually anything, and there doesn't seem to be anything that can stop this attack besides extreme heat. And he also gets a 4 out of 7 in versatility. Arctiguana has enough enhanced strength to at least push a Petrosapien off a building and crush a car as demonstrated by Freeze Lizard. Freeze Lizard also pushed a large water tank on top of Tetrax, which can weigh 180 kilograms to 200 kilograms or 396.8 IBS to 440.9 IBS. So he gets a 6 out of 7. Arctiguana is also durable enough to resist being injured by a Petrosapien shard projectiles which could pierce through steel. So he has a 6 out of 7 in durability. While Arctiguana hasn't been seen moving fast, he can skate across an icy path in a snowboard-like fashion with great agility. I'll give him at least a 3 out of 7. Arctiguana's three-fingered hands give him great dexterity, and he can effortlessly crawl up walls like an earth lizard. Arctiguana can survive in environments with sub-zero temperatures and is able to breathe underwater thanks to his gills on his chest. While Arctiguana's ice beam breath is powerful, he can't emit it endlessly, as after some time he will need to catch his breath. Also, Arctiguana can be trapped by webbing unless he makes it brittle using his ice breath. While Arctiguana is not as versatile as Big Chill, his ice breath ability is still very useful in plenty of situations, such as suppressing out-of-control fires with his ice wind, stopping pyrokinetic opponents with his freeze beam, and allowing him and others to stand on water by freezing it. Also, Arctiguana's cold blood might grant him immunity or at least resistance to fire and extreme heat. So his potential gets a 4 out of 7. Arctiguana has 9 appearances and 8 wins, so he has a win percentage of a 7 out of 7. Final thoughts. Arctiguana is the first ice-based alien transformation in the classic series, and while Ben Prime didn't transform into him until early Omniverse, he is a very incredible alien with a straightforward but very useful single ability. So his final score adds up to 37 out of 49, a high 7B or large city-level alien with a rank of B class. Come back next time as I analyze the powers and abilities of the 3 Aner aliens, and please like and subscribe for more videos like this and my new videos too. Goodbye.